This episode is sponsored by Frey's Flowers, a Western New York family-run flower farm and floral preservationist. They offer unique and one-of-a-kind pressed flowers in the shape of buffaloes. Every buffalo is handcrafted, and because they are made with flowers, each one has its own look and personality.
You can get a hold of them on their website at phraseflowers.com. That's Frase flowers.com. Or check them out on their Facebook and Instagram. Bring more joy and color into your life at Phrase Flowers. What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Friday, March 28th, 2025. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host, Phil. Episode 346. Phil's still on the couch. He's still in trouble.
Trying to get comfortable.
It's going to be interesting to see how your room looks as the sun goes down, to see if it gets even darker and darker in that room. I'm going to... For the user you're not watching YouTube, his light is not plugged in.
It's awkward.
Oh, he's pulling the string. There it is. There it is. There it is. Now it won't get as dark. But I'm repping the Bison's jersey because although we don't cover them anymore, because nobody really wanted to listen to us talk minor league baseball, they do start opening day today, this Friday, the 28th, in Buffalo. Phil, let me ask you a question. And we both are, you grew up playing baseball. I played baseball for a few years as a kid. What are your, and I guess we follow the MLB as close as kind of like an average to below average person does. But my question to you is the season too long that they have to start baseball at the end of March and it goes until November? Like, that's too long, right?
Yes. One of our friends, John, who's been on the show, he is a huge baseball fan, and he was all excited for opening day, and I didn't realize it was an opening day already. Here we are, and I told him, I was like, oh, cool, it's opening day. I will not pay attention until closer to August. It's so ridiculous. Like, not only is it really long months-wise, but they play almost every single day. It just seems so unnecessary for a sport like that. I don't get it. I don't get why they need to play so many games. I know it's been a topic of discussion for a long time, but 162, it's ridiculous. Like, it's twice as long as hockey. I know it's not the most physical sport, so it's not necessarily injuries, even though they have a lot of muscle injuries because of what they do and things like that throughout the season. People are always on the 3-6 month, season ending injury, whatever, but it's just unnecessarily long. I don't know. I feel like it needs to be a lot less. I think 100 somewhere in there would be fine. 120 would be a good start to reduce it. But the teams that play in October are already back in like February for training. And so you get like a couple months off and then you're already right back at it. It's just such a long season. Even playing baseball when I was growing up, I did house league and I did tournament. And then before that, while it was still the crossover, because crossover is not very long, but it was school baseball into house league, into tournament. And it was just a really long time and amount of baseball. And I'm not getting paid for it. So I get they make, a little bit more money than I ever did playing, but I don't know. It's way too long. It's way too long. I'm glad that they're doing what they are to modernize it and speed it up and make it a little bit more digestible for your average fan, but I don't know. I feel like the amount of fans that watch every single game, even if you're a diehard, has to be so incredibly low.
Yeah, it's all about money. I played baseball for like 3 years, I think it was. Then it was like, yeah, I don't like doing this anymore. So I fully committed like 365 days of the year to basketball, and being 5'8", surprised I lasted that long in the sport, but I did. But yeah, that was turned out to be year round, but that's a little bit easier to play year-round than baseball, especially up here north, because the weather, as we found out this week, changes very quickly, and I can't believe they're playing baseball in February or March end of March in Buffalo. It's
Literally snowed yesterday.
Imagine how bad it's going to hurt to hit a dinger with a wooden bat.
I remember.
Yeah,
I mean, high school baseball, you had to start pretty early in order to finish before school and everything, obviously. And I remember some really early season games, and it hurt a lot trying to bat or catch, do anything. It was painful and cold.
Yeah, we got climate controlled in the basketball arena, so stinks to be you. But remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky. First time in a while, I messed that one up. Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Phil's article came out on Tuesday, very long, 2 games, but of course, mine. Power rankings for Week 18 came out yesterday on Thursday, so give those a read. Again, buffalosportscollective.com. We made it as easy as possible for everybody to find us everywhere because you just got to pretty much search Buffalo Sports Co. and then you'll find us everywhere. You can check out our store on our link tree on all the social media sites or at the top of the website by hitting the shop tab. You can represent the BSC on the go. Again, made it as easy as possible for all of you out there. And look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. One Sabres game. They're playing right now. They're up 2-0 on Pittsburgh. Well, we're going over Tuesday's game versus Ottawa. Dylan Cousins comes back to town. They applauded him. Good for you. But whatever. They won 3-2. Quinn, Bernard Docker, and Tage were the goal scorers. Reimer started 30 of 32 saves. Played unbelievable. Shots 32-24 in favor of Ottawa. Buffalo was 0 for 1 on the power play. Ottawa was 2 for 4. But the big note here was Lindy Ruff crossed, well, probably will cross as Thursday sounds like it might win, although it's the Sabres, so who knows. He got his 600th win as a Buffalo Sabres head coach. Major accomplishment. Congratulations to Lindy Ruff. I'm going to keep it as positive as I can because as I scroll a little bit further, Phil, there's only like 12 more games left in the season. So I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, they are only up 2-1 now. It's the weirdest thing, and congrats to Lindy. It is exciting for him, big for him. I think he's is he second or third for wins within one organization in like all of NHL history, I think it was. So I mean, it's exciting if that's what he came back to do. Congrats on hitting that round number of 600. It took you a long time to get there, but you did it, so congrats on that. Biggest note, I think, and the weirdest thing, Reimer seems to have taken over the starting position in goalie. He does absolutely deserve it, but also just depressing for UPL. Like, what? You did call it. You said he didn't have it in him to be a true starting goalie.
I didn't say that. I just said more... I want to see him prove it more than just a one-year sample, and
he has not.
He didn't.
And considering this is
happy they paid him what they did, because if they invested bigger money in that, whew, doggy.
It's not really a shot at Reimer, but Reimer shouldn't be outplaying you. No offense to him, but at this point in his career, he should not be making you look bad, as young and promising of a goalie as UPL is. So, thank goodness. Kevin Adams made a trade for Devin Levi when he did, and hopefully maybe not next year, the year after would be nice. He can step over and be a great goalie for this team, and then UPL can get traded or be the backup. But yeah, strange world that the Sabres are living in, somehow winning when they should be losing, as they love to do. I'm good, though. I'm good to move on.
Yeah, they're going to get hot down the stretch to save everybody's job, even though it already sounds like everybody's job's saved. Kevin Adams is coming back. Lindy Ruff's coming back.
Just keep making that draft position worse for some reason. Keep it up.
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, I don't care about future picks anymore, but, I mean, maybe the higher up it is, you could trade it away for a now player.
No, they won't do that either. So that's why I just don't care. Nothing happens in the NHL draft. Doesn't really matter. They're 2 points ahead of Nashville. They're 1 point behind Philly, who just fired John Tortorella, so they might jump him in the standings. They're 2 behind Seattle. They got 3 games before we talk again next Sunday or next Monday when you guys are listening to this versus Pittsburgh tonight. Well, Thursday night. I always hate that this comes out on Friday and I'm talking in the present. They got Philly on Saturday and Washington on Sunday. Maybe we'll get some Ovechkin passing Wayne Gretzky. I know he's got to get really hot before Sunday, but the games are getting counted down. I got the whole schedule here. April 17th is going to be my favorite day of the year because their season's done. We can go over the awards and put them to bed until October.
0 awards.
Yeah, that might be the quickest award show
Boycott.
ever. But especially since that would be leading into the Bandits playoffs, I believe, or their final game of the regular season.
Boycott our own award show.
Yeah, their own. I don't care. I'm not even going to wear a suit for that one. You don't even deserve it. We'll move on to, or I guess, like I said, we'll go over the 3 games on the next show for the Buffalo Sabres as we count down to April 17th. So close.
The best day of the year.
It's been the longest hockey season of my entire life, especially because I was fooled again getting into it. But we'll go over the Bandits BSC update. We had a little bit of a shakeup in the top 10, nothing extreme, so settle down, people. Jackson B holding down first place still. His lead is down a little bit, though. He has 1,089 points. Phil is right behind him, down 5 now. Last week it was 7. It's down to 5. Phil has 1,084. And his lead over me extended by 5. He is now up 71 points on me, who I'm in third. 10-13. Kim D locks down 4th place still, 997. Tim K is in 5th, 978. My wife, Brooke, 976 in 6th place. Now comes a little bit of a movement with John B moving up from 10th to 7th with 945. Stacy K moves back 1 into 8th, 933. 1 point behind him is both Chris M, who moves up 1 spot. Actually, he was tied for 9th last week, so he doesn't move. But Mike D moves up 1 spot back into the top 10. There is 1 point difference between 8th and 10th spot right now, but there seems to be divide after the top 10. There's a little bit of a gap there, and then it kind of drops off after that. But again, 4 games left. We're not crowning anybody yet, but it's going to be a nice race with the final 4 games, and it's... As I was going through it, and you can check out all the standings on the BuffaloSportsCollective.com website, there's a tab right at the top that says Bandits Fantasy Game. Just click on that. You can get the top leaderboards where everything shakes up. Again, I put every Wednesday it gets updated. And but yeah, it was a little bit of shakeup, not much, considering it was 2 games packed into 1 weekend.
Yeah, I mean, even though with the 2 games, I mean, John B only up 3, but the jump he made was pretty big, like you said, with Stacy, Chris, and M, and Chris and Mike all being within 1 point of each other. John B made a pretty nice lead for himself, a little bit of a gap there between 7th and 8th as he jumped up a little bit. So good to see some movement, not a ton. 3 people in the 1,000 point club. Good for us, and Jackson B still coming for you. I don't know if I have enough time, let alone to not only take it, but hold it. I feel like it's going to be real tight down the stretch there, but we'll see. I mean, through 2 games, I gained 2 points. So it's going to take some effort on Dawson, blocking shots, and hopefully maybe getting an empty netter or something to give me some points. But should be a fun end of the season. 4 games. Leaderboard looks nice.
Looking up at now, because remember, we made a tiebreaker in the event it is tied. I'm just looking up the tiebreakers now on what you and Jackson B have, because realistically, you have them scoring 225 goals. And whenever I can find Jackson B, I probably should have done this beforehand. It's great for your listening audience right now as you listen to me click the dice, because none of these are in alphabetical order. It's just based on when you joined. I'm stalling. Jackson B, 247. So I think Bandits have to get pretty hot. Although his score might be a little bit closer than yours, man. If they got 189 with 4 games to go, he picked 247, you picked 225. I don't know.
You got to figure they average at least 10 goals the rest of the way. So that's 40-ish goals, and that's 130, 129. Is it just whoever's closer, or are we doing Price's Right rules?
It would be closest with the tiebreaker, yeah.
It'll be, even the tiebreaker is going to be real close.
It's going to be an interesting one. But producer Pat moves up 1 spot to 16th at 862. And the biggest riser, once again, this is the second time, and I'm butchering her name both times. Gaida?
I would say Gita.
Gita K, up 4 spots up into 18th place. You think the second time I would have nailed your name, but I didn't, so I apologize. But moving up the leaderboard, right behind Producer Pat. Can she pass Producer Pat on the next round? But that will conclude this week's BSC fantasy game update. It's been a fun one with 4 games to go, and I know I'm falling further and further behind Phil, but I'm making my comeback. Steve Priolo, go out and bench Nick Weiss and then make a big comeback. I don't know. You made the adjustment. I didn't, and I don't like it. But yeah, that concludes this one. Good luck the rest of the season, everybody except for Phil. I need to make a comeback here. We'll go over the preview now. Bandits versus Warriors. Who would have thought 3 weeks ago that this matchup would be this interesting? And going into it, I would have been interested and excited to see it because, I was a big Aiden Walsh guy. I came into the season, and even last season when they faced him, and we'll go over it in a second, last year's game, but Aiden Walsh played unbelievable down the stretch last year, especially against the Buffalo Bandits, but especially this season. You and I both had him in our top 3 of goaltender of the year. I had him up for possibly MVP, a dark horse in that race as well. But Buffalo's coming in 11-3, Vancouver's 7-7. They made some moves at the deadline. Buffalo made some moves at the deadline as well. And Buffalo's coming in first in goals for at 13.5. Vancouver goals for 10.72, tied for in 11th place. And then Buffalo goals against third, 10.43. Vancouver's and tied for first right now, 10.29. So the goals against are super close, and the goals for are a bit different. But if you look at the grand total the last 2 weeks, Vancouver's been able to put the ball in the back of the net, and I've made this joke multiple times. All they needed to do was add a goaltender.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting because exactly what you just said, the Warriors are hot right now, and as good as Buffalo played last week, I know the Desert Dogs game they kind of ran away with right away, and the Albany game I think they did play really well. I thought they deserved to win that game, just kind of came out the wrong side of it, but I wouldn't necessarily call Buffalo hot right now. I think their team is a bit all over. Not that they're playing bad. They're not. I don't think they're a bad team. I don't think they're, at the bottom by any means. They're still a very good, very top team in the entire league, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily the hot team in the NLL right now. They're just steadily winning and steadily playing like the number 1 team in the NLL, but I wouldn't say they're hot. And I think the scores recently show it. Their offense hasn't really been 100%. The defense, honestly, has been pretty good of late. But I think it'll be, to me, most interesting to see what Bandits team we get. I mean, the roster is going to be my biggest point of this whole game, and I'll probably bring it up a ton. But we've seen a ton of roster shakeup since the trade deadline with injuries, with the doubleheader, with Matisse and Ranjan getting in the game in general, with McKay coming out the front door last weekend. I don't know what this team's actually going to look like coming into this weekend, and I'm very, very interested to see what they like, and I'm sure it's going to change game by game the rest of the way, but I think it'll be interesting to see what they possibly think is their best roster moving forward. But at the same time, they need to put it all together, and I don't think they have recently. I think they've had one aspect of the game go well, the other one fall off a little bit, vice versa, but against a good team coming in hot, I think this is a really, really good test for the Bandits, and I think that's something we're going to be able to say the rest of the way. I mean, all these teams are potential playoff teams, if not pretty solidified in the playoff race, and every single one's going to be a good test for the Bandits of just what this roster looks like, and every single one of them is going to be a really, I think, to me, valuable playoff tune-up.
Yeah, I agree with the roster shakeup with Dylan Robinson coming back earlier than I think a lot of people anticipated. It was kind of out of nowhere once he was listed questionable. I was like,
and
oh, man.
He went down 3 times in the
yeah, I was like, he's got a real legit shot at playing this weekend. And then he goes in, Wires goes out. It sounds like Wires is going to be on his way back this weekend. It sounded like it was just nicks and bruises. But it will be interesting to see because they can send down Taylor Dooley to the practice squad. But then you still have to figure out, okay, who are the 19 you're going to dress that night? That means 2 are probably not going to be playing. That means my best guess is it's Lucas Nielsen is sitting for the forward group. But who do you sit on the back end?
Exactly.
Is it Whitty again? Zach Belter's been the odd man out for whatever reason. It's been Cam Wires got put on there. Dylan Robinson had been out, and now that he's back, it creates that log jam back there. So it's going to be very interesting. I think you put it perfectly. Is it going to be a game-by-game basis? Are we going to see it kind of like we did through the playoffs last year where it was, hey, these are our guys, Sam LaRue and Justin Robinson. I'm sorry, but you just don't crack this lineup right now. Are they just going to roll with what works and what's hot right now? The issue is that even though the defense played unbelievable last weekend, they weren't at full steam. Whitty wasn't on there. Cam Wires wasn't in there. Do they roll it back because of what they saw versus Albany, taking Albany 68 minutes, only allowing 11 goals, and that last one was a behind-the-back perfect shot. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. Is there any nicks and bruises that we don't know about from last weekend that, okay, come Sunday morning or Monday morning, some of the veteran guys are like, okay, this back-to-back is really killing me. Maybe they're going to be a questionable coming into the game. So it's with the lack of transparency in that department across the league, it will be interesting to see what the injury report looks like later today. If you're listening to it, it might already be out, but comes out late afternoon on Friday. I just wish it would come out a little bit earlier on Friday, but whatever. But the special teams department here. But I'll give Buffalo the slight edge because of the penalty kill. But their power plays are very similar. Buffalo's 39%, which is 11th in the league. Vancouver's 42%, which is 10th in the league. And then the difference is the penalty kill. But talking to Brad Challoner on Wednesday, go listen to that, the interview series, he was saying that with how much talent is on Vancouver's defense, that this penalty kill just might be an outlier. And with Christian Del Bianco back there, it could increase. But Buffalo's at 60%, tied for 4th. Vancouver is in 13th place, so almost dead last, 47%. But each team, penalty kills, have been out there for 74 times. They're both played the same amount of games, so it's going to be very interesting to see if what cracks first, Buffalo's bad power play or Vancouver's bad penalty kill right now. But there's too much talent for Buffalo's power play, and there's too much talent for Vancouver's penalty kill for them to be where they're at in the special teams department right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, yeah, you can say that Vancouver has too much talent on the penalty kill to be bad, but we've been saying that about Buffalo's power play the entire season. So it's the exact same thing and exactly what we just said, which one's going to crack first. But since CBD's been in, their power play or penalty kill has not been good either. Since he's been there, Toronto was 3 for 5 against him and Vancouver, and then Georgia was 5 of 9. So both of those are really, really good power play and really, really bad penalty kill, and that's even with Christian Del Bianco. Yes, it's going to take some time for him to figure it out and everything like that, for them to get the communication down, for them to figure out what he wants to see, what they want to see, how they want to react as a penalty kill unit with him in there. But still, those early there's a word I was looking for and I don't know what it is. Early returns, there it is, are not looking great. And it's not that Christian Del Bianco is a bad goalie, but so far he just hasn't really helped the penalty kill. And not that it's hurt it, because they're still floating right around 50%, but he hasn't been a big addition so far to the penalty kill. So it seems like, if anything, maybe it's a get-right game for Buffalo's power play, but we've been saying that for the whole season. And they have had a few sparks of really, really good power play games, and we're like, all right, there it is. Just keep doing that, and then it goes back to not so great after. So I do agree with you. It depends on which one can break, and more than anything, both teams, for their own sakes, need to stay out of the box. And Vancouver's power play, yes, it's only at 42%, but the last 2 games, they were 1-3 against Toronto, but this last game, 5 of 6 against Georgia. That is insane efficiency for a power play unit. Don't go in the box that many times, because they seem like I don't know what they found on offense. Like you said, get a goalie and it fixes your offense somehow. I don't understand it, but it seems like their offense is on a heater, and 5 of 6 on the power play is not 42%. So look out for that if they keep that up.
So before we dive into what the game last year looked like and dive into the players playing in this game, we'll go over our second sponsor of the show, Tap That Tap Room at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first woman-owned self-pour bar. They feature 30 consistently rotating taps. They offer a variety of beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages.
They have happy hour on Friday, every Friday from 3 to 7. That is today if you're listening to it. If you're listening to this on Saturday, well, you missed it. The beer wall is discounted, and you can go to the week after. We're telling you for that one. And they also have the Vandals live band starting at 8 p.m. just after happy hour. So get your drinks, have a good time, and then stay for some live music. They're playing some hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Saturday is another Bandits watch party. Sunday is a euchre tournament. But something we're going to start plugging away at because it's only about a week away is their 2-year anniversary party. And we're going to start pumping it now, featuring a discounted beer wall, food truck on site, special giveaways, and more. We will keep you posted on more information as it rolls in. Or you can check it out on their Facebook page or their website at tapthattaproom.com to see what's on tap and what's on deck because they have something
for everyone. I'm still waiting for my royalties for that. I don't appreciate them not crediting my bank account. But we'll go over last year's game, March 1st in Vancouver. Buffalo lost 13-12, and this was kind of the turnaround for the Buffalo Bandits season. They lost this one and went 5-6. Went down to 5-6. They had a long flight home. There's been stories nonstop all through the offseason and through the playoffs last year about that. That loss was the shakeup they needed. They went out and they got Connor Farrell. They went out and they got Paul Dawson. Kind of fixed everything and went on that giant run afterwards. I know they still lost in Panther City, but that was the overtime one, and then they went on that unbelievable streak. But Vancouver led 4-3 after 1, 9-5 at halftime. They were up 11-9 after 3. And it went up 13-9 midway, or a third of the way through the fourth. Buffalo would score the final 3, but just couldn't beat Aiden Walsh. The biggest thing to me in that game was that was one of the 2 games that Matt Vince did not play. Shanahan started that one, made 14 of 21 saves. Orleman came in and played 41-51, made 30 of 36 saves. The team still had LaRue, McKenzie, Frank Brown, Corey Highfield all in the lineup. And again, like I mentioned, Connor Farrell and Paul Dawson were not on the team. But for Vancouver, Charlon Beatties went 2-6-8. You had Lowen go 3-1-4. Klarich was not in the lineup. You had Crawley 3-4-7. Ball 3-3-6. Martell 1-4-5. And the guy that's not going to be playing on Saturday, Aiden Walsh, made 39 of 51 saves. So as much as you can look at last year's team, what we have found out by looking at last year's games that Buffalo has faced against them, because this is the first season that we're able to look back on every single team on Buffalo Bandits' schedule about what they faced last year, is you can only take it so much. Like there's so much turnover from last year to this year on most of these teams. But if you look at Christian Del Bianco, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit, last time he faced the Bandits, it was with Calgary, and they chased him in the final 5 minutes. So he went 39 of 53 saves. So Buffalo put up 14 on Christian Del Bianco. But this Vancouver team that we're going to dive into last year, you can only take so much with it, but they were able to beat Buffalo's backups last year. It's probably going to be a different story with Matt Vince in between the pipes this year, though.
Honestly, with you mentioning, and this is no shot at them, but you mentioning who the Bandits still had and kind of who they've replaced and upgraded since those times, like right now, especially on defense with what you and I were just talking about, that they have a roster crunch and a really, really good one where the depth is so good that you were benching a starter in order to have this team just fill a roster, and then you kind of go back to some of the guys that they had last year and just how they've continued to develop and build this roster out when it already was a championship caliber roster, and somehow they just keep making it better and better. So, I mean, even the Bandits, like you mentioned, it's really hard to kind of go back because it was against backups, and even for Vancouver, they didn't have everybody that they do now, and the team's much, much different, so it's very hard to take too much from it, but honestly, just the difference in the 2 rosters alone for both teams being, I think, positives more than negatives. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that I think both rosters have gotten better since last year. Obviously, everyone hopes to do that, but sometimes it's not always possible. So kind of cool to see both teams continue to get better as the time has gone on.
So we'll go over the players that are playing in this one for Vancouver. if you want more details than I can offer, again, go listen to Brad Chandler's interview on with us on Wednesday. He kind of goes more in depth of how their season's gone so far and his expectations for this weekend. But Adam Charlambides is the number one lefty over there. Peyton Cormier is the 4th overall pick 2 drafts ago. At this point, he's only played in 8 games. They're slowly working him in. Riley Lowen's that grinder out there that beat Buffalo 3 times last year, and then Ryan Martell is heating up. He started very slow. He's still on a pace that's well below last year's numbers, but he just pumped in 4 versus Brett Dobson last week. That's the lefties. For the righties, it's Keegan Ball. If you're able to limit what Keegan Ball is able to do, Vancouver's offense is going to hurt. Kevin Crawley beat Buffalo last year. You got Marcus Clarich, who's come on very strong in the second half of the season. Only played in 10 games, but he's been playing out the front door now, and I really, really like his game. Dylan McIntosh has played in 2 so far, with the removal of Jonathan Peshko going to Albany. And then Ryan Sheridan, he has not played yet. He's working his way back. I believe it's from a shoulder surgery. He's 9 months post-op, but as Brad Chandler said with us on Wednesday, when Kurt Malowski's teams win, he does not change the lineup. So I think personally, from what I'm hearing, Ryan Sheridan is ready to go. But based on prior history, I wouldn't expect to see Sheridan in this lineup. Although I do think that he would be, personally to me, an upgrade over a Dylan McIntosh just because of his size and his grit and getting in there and him wanting to come to Banditland, his first game as a Vancouver Warrior, to kind of prove something. I think he would be a welcome addition. I just am personally not expecting it.
Yeah, this team's very strange. Mainly the last 2 weeks, right? This team's been kind of a joke of an offense for the entire season. And you've already mentioned it a lot. So if you somehow get a goalie and your offense knows how to score the ball, I don't understand it. And
it's not like, not to cut you off, but it's not transition that
right.
What we were kind of expecting that Christian Del Bianco would help the most with. But I guess it could be making those timely saves and getting those rebounds that maybe Walsh had been giving up, that Christian Del Bianco is really good at, is controlling the rebounds after the saves. So maybe giving extra possessions for the offense. That's the only thing I can really think of, because his best area is in the transition game, and that hasn't really clicked as much as you might have thought with them scoring 28 goals in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's got 2 assists.
Right.
I think he mentioned on the podcast that he had more assists than saves at one point in the Toronto game, because he let the first goal in, but also had an assist on goal. Hilarious stat for a goalie. But I do think that they've said his not only his ability to swallow up rebounds, but also his ability to get the ball out quickly and kind of push the pace of play, even if it's not necessarily transition. He's giving more time for the offense to have the ball, because it's a little bit up-tempo pace. But even still, these players don't jump out at you. Yes, Keegan Ball absolutely does. He is a really, really good player. His numbers show it, and just watch him. He's just absolutely incredible with what he does. Charlambides as well, having a pretty good season. But after that, yes, there's depth with Crowley and things like that, but there's not a ton of it. This team that just, again, it's a team that has been so, not just bad on offense, so incredibly bad on offense the entire season. And these last 2 games, the big thing for the Bandits, was it a fluke these last 2 games? Did they get lucky? Did something finally click and they're actually an offense that's good and can stick? Or is it an offense that is going to, at some point, possibly in this game up against a really stingy Bandits defense and Matt Vince, revert back to what they were earlier in the season? It's weird to me that all of a sudden in 2 games, and I'm not trying to downplay what they just did because they've put up very good numbers, but it's just weird that all of a sudden it can just flip like that, and this team is incredible. Because the talent's there, but to me it's not that deep. It's there, but it's not there for them to be consistently putting up 13, 14, 15 goals a game. I don't think this offense has it in them to keep that hot streak going the entire season. So to me, it's, what is the actual level set reality of this offense? Are they closer to a 10-11 goal offense versus what they were early in the season, which is 7-8 goals? Is that obviously too low below their average? Now they're kind of, to me, above what they should be, and they're closer to an average 10-11 goal team. And if that's true, is this the kind of game that it falls back down to earth and they get closer to that score? Or is this offense truly all of a sudden just put it together and they're that lethal, in my opinion, kind of out of nowhere?
Yeah, it's if Ryan Martell can get going, this offense can be
That
not
good.
super dangerous. Kurt Malowski has flat out said that he's looking to add forwards in the offseason. So we know this forward group is not up to his liking. I'm going to keep plugging it. Brad Chandler even said they want 6 guys deep, kind of like Albany, kind of like San Diego, kind of like Buffalo. They don't want one A guy. They want 6 guys that can beat you, and that's the Kurt Malowski's offense. But if to me, the X factor in this one is going to be Ryan Martell. If Ryan Martell puts up goals, I think Vancouver can beat Buffalo. Like, it's that simple. Like, their defense and the goaltender that we're going to get into in a second is just so legit and so lethal that if they can put up 11, 12 goals on this Buffalo Bandits team, I could see them coming to Buffalo and upsetting them. I really could, because it's not going to take 13, 14, 15 goals to beat Buffalo in this one. It might take 11, 12 with the, I wouldn't say super recent struggles, because I'll put it. The offense hasn't been the same since the beginning of the season. And we'll see what it looks like with another week with Ian McKay up front, hopefully. But this offense has not been the same. So between that, Christian Del Bianco and the defense back there, if you put up 12, 13 goals, you're probably going to beat Buffalo. So if Ryan Martell can get going, because you know Keegan Ball is going to get his points, you know Adam Shanlabidi is going to chip in for the assist or two there, and Kevin Crowley is going to be able to get to the middle as well. But to me, it comes down to Ryan Martell if he can get going. But the back end right now, Alec Stathakis, I was practicing his name, 40th overall pick two drafts ago. He's going to be going up against Connor Farrell. He's a legit weapon out there right now, 61%. But then you look at the defense, and this is why I would be afraid to face Vancouver in the playoffs. Not just because of Christian Del Bianco and net, but they got the likes of Ryan Dilks, 27 caused turnovers. They got Owen Grant, who is my pick for Transition Player of the Year right now, 14 goals in the transition game, and he hasn't even connected with Christian Del Bianco yet, but he's got 24 caused turnovers and 23 block shots, so he's doing everything. That's why, to me, he's my Transition Player of the Year. Reed Bowering's back there. You got Matt Beers, Jeff Cornwall, Charbonneau, Subak, Mitski. I mean, even Remo Shinato hasn't even played a ton of games. This team is just so deep in the back end that I'm not sure Buffalo has faced a defense like this season yet. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they bounce back and how they react to getting punched in the face in a game like this, because even Steve Priello said it on his podcast, if Buffalo doesn't get towards the middle and create some of these lanes, it could be a very, very long night for Banditland.
How would you compare them? And I am blanking on who was still injured at the time, but I know Toronto's typically had one of the best defenses, and they were still Toronto Rock when the Bandits faced them. How would you compare them to Toronto when they still had all their pieces? I don't remember who was out when they played the Bandits, but just team by team, like, just going up, like you said, like, have they faced a defense this elite? I know they obviously know Toronto extremely well, so it's a little bit different because they play each other 9 billion times a year, but like Toronto's defense versus Vancouver's defense, would you say were on par? Because it's obviously been torn to shreds, but
I personally think that Vancouver's defense has the edge over Toronto, and I think that is part due to what Buffalo has been able to do to Toronto's defense. That I think if you were to ask me, okay, Vancouver's defense and Toronto's defense versus a Halifax or versus a San Diego, I think it would be better comparison. But when it's going against the Bandits, I think Vancouver's is more dangerous just because of they don't see them as ton. But I just think this defense is just like they're going to stomp on your throat and keep stomping and just keep coming back. And I'm very interested to see how this offense is able to adjust to them trying to keep them out of the middle and try to have them beat Christian Del Bianco from deep.
Yeah, I mean, going through all the names, I mean, you and I have talked about a lot of these players individually, not only trying to will them to Buffalo, even though they will never come to Buffalo, most of them, but I mean, they're names that we brought up plenty of times. Cornwall was a big one that I wanted the offseason as a free agent. There was zero chance of him ever coming to Buffalo, but I wish. Mitski's one that you've talked about a lot about. Beers and Bowering are just homegrown names. Like you said, Grant had an incredible year, and Dilks is one of the best defenders in the entire game. So, I mean, this team, I mean, we know that they're built from the back out. I mean, they were losing games earlier in the season, but it was because their offense was just horrible, and they were losing extremely close, very, very low-scoring games. And even with Aiden Walsh, who was having, like you said, MVP season. So this team was never bad because of goaltending, and Christian Del Bianco raises that to another level, but he adds different factors that Walsh doesn't. And this is, like, Walsh is, I mean, obviously Walsh's numbers were incredible. They were MVP, like you said, goalie of the year, but having a true veteran back there makes the difference. Having the communication of a veteran, having the communication of a veteran in the locker room as well, it changes the defense as a whole. And I know I'm talking too much about Del Bianco, we're going to get into in a second, but
no, we can dive into him now too.
But like what Matt Vince brings to the Bandits defense is huge. And it's not just, yes, he's a great goaltender, and yes, by himself he'd be a great goaltender, but he raises the level of the defense because of his communication, because of his veteran presence back there, and what he can bring. And Christian Del Bianco does the same thing to Vancouver. And again, their defense and goaltending were incredible to start the year. That was never a problem on this team, but he raises it to another level with what he's able to do, the same way Vince raises the Bandits defense to another level. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what this offense can do. I do hope we see McKay back out the front door again. I do hope with after the back-to-back game and all the ins and outs of all the offense, like I still don't think we've seen what this offense can do from the beginning of the season because McKay and the injuries, he was on the back end for so long, and even with him on the forward group this last time, you had Fraser taking a seat, you had Nanico taking a seat to rest them both up. So we haven't really seen the offense back as a whole with McKay also up there. So I am very, very interested to see what it looks like when they're all back together and looking kind of like the all-star offense we saw them at the beginning. But this is and again, said it earlier, it's a great test. More than anything, yes, obviously Buffalo wants to win. Yes, you want to keep a team like this out of the playoffs because every single time Buffalo plays a team that's right on that bubble, push them down, push them out. You don't want them in the playoffs, especially a team like this that can get hot. You just don't want to see that in a one-and-done kind of situation. So this is a big game for Buffalo to keep winning, get home field advantage, but more than anything, it's a learning experience. It's a tune-up for playoffs. It's what can this offense do against such an elite defense. And even though Del Bianco's numbers are so far really, really good with the 81 save percentage and 10.5 goals against, he's had weaknesses. He just let in, 13 against Georgia. And I know a lot of that was 5 of it was on the power play, so that is a big factor of it. But he's had weaknesses. I watched the 2 games that he played. His 5-hole seems to be a weakness. If you get him moving, it seems to be a weakness. It's only his 3rd game back in the NLL. He was playing, I believe, the ALL this whole time. So he was still playing lacrosse, but the NLL obviously is the highest level. So going up against a Bandits offense, I don't think he's seen an offense this talented yet. I mean, yes, Georgia has a good offense, but I wouldn't put them on the level of the Bandits. And Toronto, yes, they have pieces, but their team has been torn to shreds, so they don't have the offense that the Bandits do. So I think this is Vancouver's biggest test since Del Bianco's come in, but it's also Buffalo's biggest test in a little bit since we've seen, like you said, arguably the best defense and goalie that they've seen in quite a while. So it'll be a really, really great chess match and a very, very exciting lacrosse game.
Yeah, and to go back to why trade for Christian Del Bianco, we kind of answered that on the show when the trade happened. I asked Brad about it. I was like, hey, maybe somebody that sees it firsthand can better answer it and people will believe it. So going into this game, we're probably going to see a lot of comments. Oh, their offense still stinks. You didn't need the goalie. Why would you do that? You trade Peshko off the team when he needed forwards. And we kind of said it like you traded for Christian Del Bianco for the next 6 years, not the next 6 games. And you said it perfectly. He's bringing a championship pedigree to that locker room where it's kind of like, hey, Buffalo was great, but they didn't reach another level until Matt Vince comes to town. So while Aiden Walsh was great, and I think he's going to do great things in his NL career, especially when he goes to Calgary in this offseason, but they're a different team with a championship, former MVP, former goaltender of the year in the net, whether he's been sitting on his couch all season or playing now in the NLL. They're a whole different animal with Christian Del Bianco back there, and I think you're seeing it through the offense as well. So they're a very dangerous team. And as we're talking through this game, it's a lot different than what we were talking about versus Vegas last week. So it's good to get back to something like this where it's like, hey, Buffalo's in for a good matchup here. And before we get into our predictions, Phil, let's go into our third and final sponsor of the show, the Totally Buffalo Store.
Totally Buffalo Store, their mission is to celebrate all things Buffalo with over 100 local artisans. Shop local. We love it. They're your place to go when you need a gift for a friend or just something for yourself. It's okay to be selfish. They offer 3 locations, 3328 Sheridan Drive in Amherst, the Middletowns, 3459 Amelia Drive in Orchard Park, the Southtowns, and 467 Center Street in Lewiston, the Northtowns.
So I don't know if everybody out there is following them, but you already should be. They had had and still have, if you're listening to this on Friday, a t-shirt sale. I'm a big t-shirt guy, Phil. I love getting new t-shirts, especially when there's a sale. 20% off all of them across all 3 stores. It ends today if you're listening to this on Friday, the 28th, at all 3 locations. Get down there, save some money so you can buy a second shirt if you're only planning on buying 1. If you're planning on buying 4, buy a 5th because it's a deal, and you pretty much get the 5th shirt for free with that math. That's math right there for you. But Phil, as you know, I'm a very simple man. It doesn't take very much to brighten up my day. Something very small can make me smile. I am very easy to please. This store has some new shelf sitter figures. They're cool little buffaloes in many different colors. They rep your city of Buffalo. Even if you're not from Buffalo, they're just a little buffalo. Who doesn't love buffaloes? But they also have decals and bumper stickers for the Buffalo Bills. Get me one of those and my day, my week will be made. Again, I am a man of simple tastes. Something small like that can make me smile. So go out to Totally Buffalo Store. Get me a shirt, 20% off on Friday, and get me one of those small figurines or a bumper sticker for my car. It's just the small things. We always advertise the big things. I wanted to focus on some smaller things that they also have because they have something legit that anybody would want that you can't get at a Walmart or a Target or any other big box store. It's all local stuff. Shop out at the Totally Buffalo Store. To find out what else they got, go to their Facebook and Instagram page and go to their website at the TotallyBuffaloStore.com. Phil, we talked about the players, last year's game, all the numbers and everything. What is your prediction for Bandits versus Warriors? Banditland, game 8 of 9 regular home season games, and they have a chance to clinch a home playoff game if they win, and I believe Georgia loses. I believe that's the outcome for them to clinch a home playoff game to start the NLL playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bandits at home. They need to, they're coming in angry after losing to Albany, but more importantly, they don't like losing at home. They've done it a few times now, and I don't appreciate it personally. I know they just crushed the Desert Dogs, but that's different. And I'm going to go 12-10. Keep it close. I think it's going to be a really, really good NLL lacrosse game. I think it should be a lot of fun. I think it's 2 teams that match up against each other. A lot of chirping. Vancouver seems like a chirpy, physical, in-your-face kind of team. I don't know if you saw it. Brett Dobson punched one of their players in the face because he was that upset about it. It worries me for Buffalo.
Multiple times.
He was not happy. He does not seem like someone who's often fazed by that kind of stuff, and it worries me for a Buffalo team that does get fazed by that stuff quite often, especially Martel. He seems like a chirper out there. Worries me a little bit, but I think this game could be physical and really, really good. But I'm going 12-10 Buffalo. Keep it close.
Yeah, this is definitely, it's not a must-win for Buffalo, but the margin of error has decreased. Saskatchewan only is 2.5 games back. I should say a game and a half back, right? It's a game and a half back because Buffalo is the tiebreaker. It's 1 game back in the standings, so technically it's a game and a half. But you lose this one, Saskatchewan wins their game. Either neck and neck. This is a big time game for Buffalo, not just in the standings, but also it's a statement game that, hey, yeah, we just lost to Albany, but it was on a back-to-back. Let's go get this victory here, get the season get back right, and fix fix the errors of our ways. Because, I mean, even the Albany game, I didn't think it was a bad game. I think Doug Jamieson just bailed them out and won it. So I do think they're going to come in. They do not want to fall to 5-3 in Banditland. They don't want to have 3 of their 4 losses on the season come at home. But the biggest reminder that I mentioned it on Monday's show, they're 1-3 in games that they're trailing going into the fourth quarter. So it's something of note that if they're trailing going into the fourth, keep note. They haven't won those games, so keep an eye on that. But we'll go into the milestone, the fastest milestone minute in all the land. Last week was 2.5 minutes. Man, Phil, there's still a lot of milestones here. They still stacked up. The biggest issue is Dane Smith and Josh Byrne are so stinking good that they're breaking all these records and they're moving up the top 10 leaderboard, and I have to mention it because it's possible that they might break it. But this might be closer to the 2-minute milestone minute again. So keep track. Phil's going to time it. All these possible milestones can be found on X and Blue Sky Buffalo Sports Co. We post them leading up to each and every game. There's only one game this week, thank God. So if you missed one and you don't want to listen back, you can check for them there. Away we go. If Matt Vince plays on Saturday, it will be his 300th NLL career game. He will be just the 3rd player ever to eclipse the 300 mark. If Paul Dawson plays Saturday, he will pass Brody Mayer for 5th place all-time in games played in the NLL with 281. Steve Pearl is still 5 penalty minutes away from tying Patrick Merrill for 8th place in NLL history. He averages 2.44 a game. Josh Byrne is 10 points away from 600 for his career. He averages 5.73 a game. Dane Smith is 4 points away from tying Dane Dobie for 9th place in NLL history. He averages 6.616 a game. Dane Smith is 12 points away from 1,200 for his career. He would be just the 9th player ever to reach that mark. Dane Smith is 10 loose balls away from 1,000 for his career. He averages 5.13 a game. Chase Frazier is 5 assists away from setting a new career high. Cam Wires, if he plays, is 7 loose balls away from setting a new career high. And Nick Weiss is 11 loose balls away from setting a new career high. Paul Dawson is still 1 point away from 100 for his career. He averages .36 a game. Tehoka Nanticoke is 3 goals away from 100 for his career. He averages 1.62 a game. Chase Frazier is 4 points away from tying Darius Kilgore for 9th place in Buffalo Bandits history. He averages 2.95 a game. Connor Farrell is 6 faceoff wins away from tying Max Adler for 6th place in Buffalo Bandits history. He averages 15.29 a game. He's also 12 away from tying Micah Kersey for 5th. Dane Smith is 4 assists away from tying Josh Byrne for 4th place in a single Buffalo Bandits season, with 82 set in last year, 2024. Josh Byrne is 2 assists away from tying Dane Smith for 6th place in a single Buffalo Bandits season set with 70 set in 2019. And 3 more here because Dane Smith and Josh Byrne are really good. Dane Smith is 4 assists away from tying Garrett Billings, set in 2012, Mitch Jones, 2023, and Josh Byrne, 2024, for 9th place in a single NLL season. He is 5 away from tying Sean Evans, 2015, Josh Sanderson, 2015, and Callum Crawford, 2016, for 6th place, and he's 6 away from tying Mark Matthews, 2018, for 5th, and 7 away from tying Ryan Lee, 2022, for 4th. Dane Smith is 1 point away from tying himself for 10th place in a single Buffalo Bandits season with 105 set in 2018. He's 3 away from tying himself and John Tavares set in 2003. Himself, 2015, for 8th with 170, is 9 away from tying Ryan Benesh for 7th, 113, set in 2015. And the last one, Josh Byrne is 2 points away from tying Dane Smith for 10th in a single Buffalo Bandits season with 105. Yeah, these are very similar. Set in 2018, he's 4 away from tying Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. John Tavares, that's my only mess up, for 8th. He is 10 away from tying Ryan Benesh for 7th, set in 2015 with 113.
About 230.
So about the same.
Well,
get so many assists this weekend, guys. Just so you can check these off.
And this is only one game. It's not even 2.
I know.
I do have a question for you. I know you're trying to catch your breath, but did we mention that Paul Dawson broke?
Nope.
He
did. He didn't break
record.
It. He shattered it with 4 games to go.
Demolished it.
He's up by 10 on the previous record right now, and he's got 4 games.
So bold prediction coming through. I said he would break the record. Got it.
You're wrong. He shattered it.
Sorry. I did say
with his shins.
I feel like part of the bold prediction was if he would get to 50. I don't know if he's on pace for 50, but
he's got 39 with 4 games to go.
He should be on pace for 50.
He needs another 7 spots.
Yeah, it's all he needs. But yeah, congratulations to him. I know it's a recently tracked stat, but still ridiculously impressive. And Priola mentioned it a lot on his podcast. It's not just the willingness to get in front of the ball. It's the fact that he used to be a goalie. He came into the league as a goalie. He knows his angles. He knows what to do to block shots. It's not just standing in the way and hoping it hits you. He seems to find a way to get in the way of the ball. It's more an art for him than simply luck or hoping it hits you. And I was going to make a Dylan Robinson joke. He did not hope that hit him, but it did. That's the not correct way to block a shot with your neck. Not advised. But no, he does an incredible job, and what he brought to the Bandits with that, it does seem like he raised the entire team to be better at block shots, but what he does specifically is just, as you can see by the record, far and away better than everyone across the league. It's really, really impressive. And again, it's not just simply having the courage to stand in the way. He finds a way to get in the way.
Yeah, and also majority of the time not screening Matt Vince is also a benefit. I guess him being former goaltender, knowing where the goaltender is behind him, and also, putting that stick in between his legs, being a second goaltender is just ridiculous. He's I would not want to stand in front of a ball that fast without pads either.
Absolutely.
So we got 4 other games to go over real quick in the NLL Outlook. I will go over them. You give me something that you're interested in Week 18. Just 4 weeks left in the NLL season. 6-8 Ottawa, 5-9 Philly. Philly's on a 7-game losing streak. Do they snap the streak Friday at 7 p.m.? Loser of this is pretty much toast. Like, if Ottawa loses, I think Philly's already toast, but if Ottawa loses this one, they're toast.
Yeah, this is a game that if Ottawa does lose, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Philly's lost 7 straight. They look just awful. I don't know what happened to that team. I know they kind of, to us, came back to earth, but they regressed way too far. And Ottawa seems like they're heating up a little bit. They had a really good weekend. I know they lost to Halifax, but still, Halifax is a really great team. So this should be a good one for Ottawa to win. But this is the kind of situation where I don't trust Ottawa as a team. This could be a random wild upset, and Philly finally gets a win and knocks Ottawa out of the playoffs, which, with the way Ottawa season has gone, which is just weird to me. I could see that happening, but again, if Ottawa loses, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs anyway.
So the next one is probably the biggest game of the weekend, not Bandits fans related, but 8-6 San Diego goes to 8-7 Rochester Saturday at 7 p.m. I believe it was the Off the Crossbar podcast guys, Teddy and Pat, did the pick'em, and this is such a big swing game for both of these teams when it comes down to either making, missing, or hosting a playoff game. It's just ridiculous how big of a swing. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's not only a big swing, but it's 2 really hot teams. I mean, these teams are both really, really good, launching up the standings, launching up the power rankings. So more than anything, this is one that if you are a Bandits fan, and you want to take in another NLL game just for fun, this is the kind of game you want to take in. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy a really good lacrosse game. It doesn't mean much to the Bandits either way, but just a really, really great lacrosse game to go and watch and just enjoy. It should be a good one. I don't know. I honestly have no idea who's going to come out in that one. It could very easily go either way.
Yeah, 2 of the hottest teams in the NL right now, but it could mean something to the Bandits because the loser of this could be dropping down in the stands, and that could be a first-round opponent for the Buffalo Bandits. But, you're going to want to watch that one after the Bandits game ends, Phil. It's very close timing. But the 8-6 Colorado Mammoth sound like they're getting Dylan Ward back, who just had a child. I was listening to Off the Crossbar this week, and they're like, man, they just got to time out having babies better because this is way too much. They went more graphic than I'll go, but they're headed to the 10-4 Saskatchewan Rush Saturday at 9 p.m. This is a massive, massive game for the Colorado Mammoth because the rest of their schedule we go over in the power rankings, they're in trouble if they drop this one, and it's going to be a tough one to go into Saskatchewan to get this win, especially when who knows if Connor Kelly's going to be back. You already know Eli McLaughlin and Zed Williams will not be there, so it's do or die for Colorado right now at this point.
It's going to be really, really tough. Like you just mentioned, I mean, beating Saskatchewan's tough even at full strength, and right now they are not. So this is going to be a very, very difficult game for Colorado to win. And, I mean, if you just look at those groups of records, I mean, even Saskatchewan, they want to win this to hang around with Buffalo.
Yep.
But you got 8-6 San Diego, 8-7 Rochester, 8-6 Colorado. And there's just so much shakeup at this point that can happen. And even with the next game that you're about to talk about as well, it's just the unified standings are just so great. I feel like we used to go over the West and be like, oh, this team's barely at 500. They're about to make playoffs. This is crap. But now we have everybody just kind of log jammed together. Every single win, every single loss is just huge. And the way the standings could end up is just so wild at this point. Like, there's just no real clear picture whatsoever of how any of this could end up finishing and who's going to play who. The only thing we have right now is that the Bandits and the Rush are in, and that's literally it. That's all you got. Everything else is just crazy.
Yeah, the only other thing is Vegas is out, but yes. I think it was Graham Parrow that put it out because he runs the NLStats.com website, but I think he said that there's a possibility that 9 teams could finish 9-9 or something as crazy as that. But yeah, unified standings are great. Last one here: 9-5 Halifax, 7-7 Georgia. Sunday at 4:00. Georgia needs to win. 7-7. I think they're in the final playoff spot right now. It would be Buffalo versus Georgia if the season ended this very second. But Georgia needs to be able to beat Halifax in this one to keep pace. Otherwise, they're going to fall further and further back in not just the rankings, but the standings in general.
I mean, even this game alone, you look at San Diego, Colorado, Georgia, you could have 3 8-7 teams headed into the next week. And Georgia's they're the team for me that's very similar to Ottawa. I don't have any clue what they are. They just don't seem to put consistent games together. They'll have a great defensive game, a great offensive game, rarely have both, but sometimes they do, and they'll blow a team out. I don't know what they are. Halifax has been an incredible team. I don't think they get enough credit for where they're at. Only 1 game behind Saskatchewan, and could be even higher if they keep winning. So they've been having a monstrous season, but pretty quietly. I know, obviously, they're getting some love, but I feel like everyone talks about the Bandits and the Rush being the top 2 and then the huge logjam underneath them. But I think Halifax is in probably a little bit of a tier of their own below the top 2 and then kind of Halifax and then the rest of the league. So this is a big game for Halifax to win, but at the same time, Georgia needs it in order to stay in their playoff hopes.
So a very fun Week 18 across the NLL, which includes Bandits versus Warriors. We will be back on Monday to break down that game in full detail, along with 3 Sabres games that we'll hopefully breeze right through. But that will conclude this one. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room, Totally Buffalo Store, and Phrase Flowers for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Phil's article came out on Tuesday. Give that a read. Mine came out on Thursday. Read that one if you want. I don't care. Check out our store on our link tree and our socials or the shop tab at the top of the website. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Till next time. Bye-bye.